Today I'd like to show you the Integrity Wood Ultrex Glider. It's the one where it's got the wood on the inside and the Ultrex on the outside. I want to show you just about everything I could possibly think of to show you on one of these gliders. Basically how to remove the primary sash, stationary sash, the Sill Track, some adjustments to make these slide a lot better, and some alternative weather stripping that I've used in the past to help make these slide better. So let's get started. The first thing I would like to show you how to do is how to remove the active or passive sash. It's one of the most easiest things to do. Just simply unlock the window, slide it open. There's a latch over here and a latch over here. Press them down like that. Take it like that, lift it up, and set it to the side. So we're at the top of the sash here. We need to remove this screw here, and there's a screw up here. What you may have may look a little different than this. There have been a few design changes throughout the years. So we'll go ahead and start removing the screw at the top. Obviously that's the screw that did not come with the window. And then we'll go ahead and take this screw here, take this out. Then we'll go ahead and take a screwdriver and slide this out of the way. Now we can remove this screw down here. We should also remove this weather stripping here. You can just take a flat putty knife, and there's a little gap here, and you can just lift it out and move it out of the way. Okay, at the top we need to remove this screen channel. Just pulls down, pull it out of the way and set it out of the way. Now we can take the sash, slide it this way, pull it down just like that. If that doesn't work, sometimes you may need to take a putty knife and put it between the wood and the frame and push down on it a little bit to give you that extra room that you need. And then you can just take it straight up and right out. If you ever need to replace this interlock, you can just take a flat bar with a little hook and you can just pull this off. You can do this with the sash installed, but I just wanted to show you what it'll look like from the top. And then obviously when you order your replacement part, as you can see, this kerf or this connecting barb goes into this kerf, and you just work your way and make sure it's pushed in all the way. You don't want any gaps anywhere here. Now this is the bottom of the sash, and if this is damaged, it's very easy to replace. So obviously order the correct one. And you do have to remove the sash. There's a single screw here. Just take it out like that, obviously. And then we have to remove this one on the other side. Be mindful when you take the screws out which screws went where. This long one goes in this side and the short one goes on this side over here. Now that we got those screws out, go ahead and just take this off just like this, and you can replace this part. And this is what the side profile looks like, and just put the new one back on. And this piece also is also replaceable here. So take this off your old one, put it on your new one just like that. Long screw here. Short screw here. Okay, when you want to reinstall the new sash or to put this sash back in, there's a groove. There's a fin here at the bottom that needs to go and line up with the track. Okay, just take it, slide it in there like that, and then you can slide it into place and put your screw back in. Okay, before you put this screw back in that hole, you should take some silicone, squeeze it in this hole, and then that way any water that gets in there won't leak into the sill of the window. More than likely, the screw that's in here is going to be real short. There's a little metal washer that's on the top that the screw goes into. Once you pull the screw out, you're more than likely not going to be able to get this screw back in there. So you can use a longer screw like this and just put it in the hole and drive it up into your header there. Let's go ahead and reinstall the screen track. Let's go ahead and reinstall the sill weather stripping. Now you can put the sash back in, just like that. If you ever need to replace this weather stripping here around the perimeter frame, this comes out relatively easy. Just use like a little putty knife in there, and you can remove that and get your replacement weather stripping, and it just fits in there in that curve, just like that. If for any reason you need to replace this whole jam carrier, it's the same piece on the top and both sides, you can remove this screen track or screen channel. Now that we got the screen channel out of there, this is what the piece looks like. So to remove this, sometimes you can just grab it with your fingers and pull, or if not, just take this putty knife in here and then do the same for the other side. Then you can grab your fingers and pull it out just like that. And that's what it looks like from the side. Sometimes you have to pull from the center to get that tucked in there like that. And just work your way up. Let's go ahead and reinstall our screen channel. Now we can reinstall our weather stripping. Now I'd like to show you how to fix a sill track that is slid down. And you'll know by looking at the window, and it doesn't close all the way, and sometimes it doesn't want to lock. So I'll show you how to fix that. This is what it looks like when the sill track is slid down. See, there's a big gap here, and as you follow the gap up, it gets tighter. Here's an over-exaggerated sill track that slid downhill this way. This here should be touching back here. I've seen this happen on dark units that get full sun. These are applied with double-sided tape. You can actually see the tape there. You can just take a flat bar like this, lift this up, and move it back into position. Make sure that there's no gap here, and it's pushed down all the way. Now I like to secure this so it never slides back down again. I like to use a rivet. You can use a screw if you wanted to with a real small head, but first start by taking this weather stripping out like this. Now you can go about 6 inches in or so, and you can drill a small hole here if you want to use a screw. Again, I like to use a rivet. Okay, I got an aluminum rivet here, and because of this, the roundness of this head on here, it'll be in the way of this weather stripping here and here. So I like to go ahead and file the ends off. Okay, now I flip it this way and do the other side. Okay, when you're done, it should look something like that, where it's got a flat on both sides, a flat spot on both sides. And now we're gonna go ahead and take an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I'm gonna drill into here. Okay, I must warn you not to go too deep because you don't want to go all the way into the second part of the sill. I just went in through here, and you'll feel it stop. What is that, about an inch, maybe 1.25 inches. So don't let it go in there more than an inch, or say the thickness of this rivet. Okay, now take some silicone, take it and put it in that hole and squeeze a whole bunch in there. Okay, now we got our silicone that's in there. And of course, we're pretending. Go ahead and put our rivet in there like that, and see how that flat spot is there, so that way the rounded part doesn't get in the way of that, and then that sits in there like that. Now we can go ahead and rivet that on there. Okay, just like that. Okay, now you can take file. If there's anything sticking out the top, just file the top. With that being in there, when you put this weather stripping over the top, you're not going to feel any difference or how the sash operates with that there. So I would not worry about that. So now that we got that in there, this should never slide down again. Go ahead and take this weather stripping and put it back into place. And now this will never slide down again. Now I'm going to show you how to take care of some operational issues where you got some gliders that slide pretty poorly. Usually the number one thing is dirt. So my go-to is Pledge and a paper towel. We're going to go and spray a whole bunch of Pledge on a paper towel, and we're going to go through and we're going to wipe all this weather stripping down wherever it touches or slides or rubs against. We're going to clean that off. Okay, we're going to rub and try to clean off this track at the bottom. We're going to do all the sides. slide this over this way. We'll go ahead and wipe this track down, get any dirt off of there like that. Go ahead up here. So with the window all the way open, again, some more pledge. Wipe this weather stripping here and up in here. You could even go as far as tilting the sash out and wiping the top and the bottom of the sash. I took the sash out and I turned it upside down. Make sure these pads are here and are in place. Wipe these down and get all this dirt out of here. Also do in here, sometimes when you get that hard window that you get that breakaway force, it's a little hard to get them open. We call that breakaway force. So by putting this paper towel behind here with some pledge on it, cleaning that up, that's going to help with that. Another thing to do is make sure that the gap between this wood in here is the same. Make sure it's nice and tight. If not, I've seen where sometimes this needs to be pushed in a little bit like that. Also, same thing, take some pledge on a paper towel and wipe the back side of this active sash down all the way up and down in here. And this is really going to help away with the pull away force, that initial force that you need when you open the window. Another thing to check is the jam liner. You need to make sure it's pushed up all the way in there. So I usually take a hammer and a stair tool and I go ahead and pound these on to make sure they're all the way up in there. And let me show you how. Okay, hopefully you can see this. It's going to get a little loud, and I put this where this, you can put it on top of the weather stripping, or you can just put it in here like this, and hopefully you're going to see this go up. Okay, make sure that's all the way in there like that. This weather stripping here should be about right here, because this is a pinch point. So when the sash is in here and it's pushing against this, yeah, it makes a tight seal there, but I found that this piece here can cause a pinch point that makes the sash a little difficult to slide. So I like to go ahead and remove that. And I like to trim that off. Just like that. And you should have a little dust block here that still will make pretty good contact. So make sure that's pushed in there all the way. Use your fingers if you need to, the tip of your fingers. Make sure that's all the way in there. Okay, let's go ahead and put our sash back in, right side up. And now we'll check the operational issues. Actually, that slides really nice. But I want to show you another trick I've done. It is an unofficial fix, and it will change the performance rating of your window. So if you're in a high wind area where you're in a canyon, oceanfront, I would not recommend this. You will void your warranty against any water and air filtration. But if you have that one window, your insulator over foamed it, you get a severe dip in your header, little kids' room, someone who's elderly, you can do this to make the window so it operates a lot nicer. So let me show you. Okay, first let's go ahead and remove the sash. So what I like to do is I like to go ahead and take out this weather stripping at the top, and we're going to replace this. So we're going to go ahead and replace this with something different. As you can see, there's a tremendous difference between the two. This is what was on the window, and then this one is what we're going to replace it with. We actually use this on one of our sliding doors, but it'll really reduce the surface tension on the sash when sliding it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut this a little longer. So I got the two pieces here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this one maybe a 1/2 inch longer. So I got some pledge on a paper towel. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this new weather stripping down. Okay, now I'm going to take this new weather stripping and put it in here. I'm not pushing it too hard. I'm pushing it in there just enough for it to stay in place. Like that. Okay, so with this weather stripping in here, there is a little gap here and a little gap here. So I got some of this little mohair weather stripping. I'm going to stick that one piece behind it and in front of it. Okay, I got this little piece of mohair in there to help make a continuous gasket, help prevent some air filtration. Okay, Now on the sill, you can remove the sill weather stripping, and we're going to replace it with this weather stripping. We actually use this on our Clad Ultimate Glider, so I got some pledge on a paper towel. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this down first. Then I'm going to go ahead and remove this weather stripping. You can see there's a difference between the two. This is the one that was originally on the window, and this one is not. So this one's hollow. It'll be a little bit more forgiving and it doesn't push on the bottom of the sash as much. Will help it slide a lot better. So we'll go ahead and change that out. Keep in mind, this does change the performance rating of your window, and you could get air and water infiltration if you're in an extreme area. Okay, let's go ahead and put the sash in and try it out. Make sure the weather stripping's in there, tucked in there. There you go. Beautiful, huh? Now another question you may have on this window is it reglazable? Can I replace the glass on these? The answer is no, not on this one. Unfortunately, the way these ones are designed, they are not designed to be reglazable. So that answers that question. Now I want to show you another trick. If you have a window where you have a very poor installation, where the window is installed at a square, and you line these two windows up and you see a huge gap at the top and a little tight at the bottom, or when you close this side, perhaps it's touching at the bottom, big gap at the top, and you can't get it to lock. So let me show you one trick to get these so you can get it to lock. Now let's talk about locking issues with this window where you go to lock and you can't lock it. You've already checked for plumb, you've already checked for square, and you've already checked for level, and everything is spot on, and you still can't get this to lock. I want you to take a look at this first. So the first thing I'm going to want you to do, go ahead and open the sash and remove it. And we can go ahead and flip it around because I want to show you the back side of this lock. See on the back side of this sash here, see how this wood in this sash, how tight that groove is? Now let's take a look at this lock up here. See this excessive gap here? Of course I've created this, but I have seen this in the field. So we need to be able to remove this lock and this piece of wood to get this piece to sit flush against this to see if that'll take care of our locking issue. So let's go ahead and do that. In order to fix this, the best thing to do is take off all the hardware. Okay, once you get that up, you should be able to pull this off if you need to, even if you needed to replace it. They do put some sealant behind here. Make sure it's cleaned up if you have to, and make sure everything lines back up, and then obviously this is pushed back down when we put our lock on it. So we'll go ahead, since we got that looking good now, we'll go ahead and reassemble it and see if that helps with our locking issue. Be sure to push down on this. Now this looks much better, so that's going to give us some more room for this lock to lock. So also be mindful to see if you see any of this in the way. I have seen where this piece here was a little long and I've actually had to shave it down a little bit. Of course, be careful when using sharp objects. So we'll go ahead and reinstall this and see how it works. So now that we made sure that this piece of wood was sitting flush with the sash here, let's go ahead and try the lock. Wow, that seemed to take care of the problem. If that doesn't take care of the problem, I'm going to show you how to cut around here and mortise this lock into the wood to give you a little bit more room. So now say that this piece is now flush and this top lock still won't lock. So another thing you can do is, of course, be extremely careful with this. This is extremely dangerous. Is I'll take a utility knife and I'll score around this lock. And I'll do that a few times, and then that way I can actually take this lock off and I can use a chisel to chisel out to mortise this lock into the wood. You can see my outline here. It may not be very pretty, and I know this is not a chisel, but now you can take and you can chisel out this and try to make it even, or you can do something else. Let me show you. Or you can make yourself one of these handy jigs like I did that I handmade that fits around the lock like this, and then I could put this on here and use my router to route that in. If you have a lot of windows to do, I actually made this. I put a relief here so it fits over this finger pull here. And you can see I got extra holes here. You can actually use this for a double hung or a glider, and you do have to move the position of this to line up the lock. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this and route that out. Okay, I'm using this router that's got the bearing at the top. Okay, it's going to go around the jig like this, and you can set the height of this to this, and whatever this extends of that, that's how much material is going to be cut out. Okay, you can see my outline. I'm going to line this up with that, just like that. Got some clamps. Okay, I got this lined up perfectly here. Okay, it's going to get loud. Here we go. There we go. I didn't want to take too much because this is our display, but I wanted to show you that. So let's try it out. There you go, perfect fit. Okay, now that we got this lock mortised into this wood, let's go ahead and try it out. That lock's fantastic. So that is another option for you, so you don't have to rip and tear out your whole window to make it plumb level and square again. And that way you can still secure your home and get this window to lock. So there you have it. That's about everything I can show you on this Integrity traditional glider. I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please consider hitting the subscribe button at the bottom. Thank you for watching and have a great day.